Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Four Verticals podcast. I'm your host, Maurice Phipps. I hope everybody had a good holiday. I took, last week off because last week was a holiday. I was coming back from Chicago to here. If y'all didn't know, I record these out of my college apartment. And so, I headed back here, decided to take last week off, but I'm back this week with another episode. We got some shit I want to talk about, not too much on the docket. With these YouTube episodes now, with the episodes being on YouTube now, I'm probably going to try and keep these within the 30 to 45 minute range. I guess I'll test that out, and if it goes well, I'll keep doing that. I previously liked doing like the 50 minute to hour episodes. I think my longest episode that I had recorded previously was like an hour and 20 minutes. But these more compact and condensed episodes, I'm starting to like these a little bit more. So let me know if you guys prefer these or if you prefer the longer episodes. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like, and do all that good shit. But enough of that. Y'all don't care about that. Let's talk about some sports. The first thing I wanted to talk about is actually some very, very good news. If you're a fan of college football, I'm sure you've heard, but if not, the college football playoff will be expanding to 12 teams beginning in the 2024-2025 season. How it will work is the first four seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4, they will have a bye, and then it'll go, the 5 seed will play the 12 seed, the 6 seed will play the 11 seed, the 7 seed will play the 10 seed, and the 8 seed will play the 9 seed. So that's how that'll shake out. And then I believe there is no reseeding. I think the lowest seed available would then play the number 1 seed. All the details have not officially been worked out. And again, this is the 2024-25 season is the earliest that we're going to see it. So we still do have, it's the 2022-23 season. So then we have to get through the 2023-24, and then we have to get to that season. So this is still minimum, 2 years away that we're going to see the 12 team college football expansion. But that is good news because I'm sure if you haven't, said this yourself, you've seen somebody say like, hey, four teams, that's too selective, as well as, the committee comes under fire sometimes because of questionable ranking decisions, even though this year I'm certain that most of the decisions they made within the top 4 and within the greater top 10, I'll go over those in a little bit, have been pretty accurate. So there's no complaints that way coming here. But it's good news to see that the college football playoff is expanding to more teams. I was under the impression that we would get like 8 teams, and then we'd see the 1-8, the 2-7 matchup and stuff like that. But I think I like this more because the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds, they get the bye, and then, we could have a 1-12 matchup. It's possible, but it likely won't happen. And all this does is make room for, more potential upsets. Pretty soon we'll see maybe the first 5 seed to ever win the college football playoff. It's a long shot, I know, but, it could happen with this expanded playoff. And that's really the main thing that, people are happy about, myself included. Even though I'm not a super, super big college football head, I do enjoy watching the college football playoff. And, the potential for an upset is always a good thing in any sport that, you're watching or you're playing or whatever. Now with that, I'm going to go and tell you guys the current top 10, or no, I'm going to tell you guys the current top 12 because, it's 12 teams. So if the 12 team college football playoff expansion were in fact implemented this season, this is how it would go. Let me take a sip of this tea first. Oh yeah, I'm back drinking. I'm back drinking my tea. I haven't drank tea in like 3 weeks. So yeah, I'm back with the tea with the episodes. So pardon me if you hear me take breaks. I'm usually sipping tea or water, but in this case it's tea. That's good tea. Okay, so the current AP top 25 for college football goes as follows. Number 1 is Georgia. Number 2 is Michigan. Number 3 is TCU. Number 4 is USC. Those 4 teams, if the college football playoff expansion were implemented this season, those 4 teams, Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC, would have the bye. So come the first week of the playoffs, they would not be playing. It then goes number 5, Ohio State, number 6, Alabama, number 7, Tennessee, number 8, Penn State, number 9, Washington, number 10, Clemson, number 11, LSU, and number 12, Utah. So how it would work would be number 5, Ohio State would play number 12, Utah in the first round. Number 6, Alabama would play number 11, LSU in the first round. Number 7, Tennessee would play number 10, Clemson in the first round. And number 8, Penn State would play number 9, Washington in the first round. And then after that, I believe it shakes down to the 1 seed plays the lowest remaining seed. So if Utah were to beat Ohio State in this hypothetical scenario, I believe that they would go to Georgia. And then it just follows suit. Whatever the lowest seed would go to the number 1 seed. The next lowest go to the number 2 seed, and so on and so forth. What would likely happen is if it were just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 were the teams that moved on to the second round of the playoff, then it would be the 4-5 matchup, the 3-6, the 2-7, and the 1-8, stuff like that. So a pretty good format. Hopefully we can, see this implemented and actually start to see more upsets in the college football playoff, because let's be honest, in the past few years, there hasn't really been much upset. It's been number 1 seed, number 2 seed for most of the playoffs that I've watched. I think last year Georgia came in as the 2 seed and beat Alabama, so that was a bit of an upset in the championship. But besides that, hasn't really been any big upsets. So this is a major W for college football. And college football fans should be excited about this, because it's not just the semifinal and then the national championship, which I always thought was a little weird, because that's not how playoffs work. You don't even have the first round. It just straight into the semifinal and then the championship game. But hey, moving on from college football, we're going to talk about the World Cup. And before I even mention anything, I'm going to put this disclaimer out here right now. I am not a soccer connoisseur. I don't follow soccer at all, really. The only reason I'm interested or even invested as I am is because USA has moved on from the knockout stages to the round of 16, and they will play the Netherlands on Saturday, which is tomorrow. If you're listening to this on Friday, December 2nd, that is. With that being said, I have watched a bunch of the games in the knockout stage. I did watch USA beat. Who did we just beat? I did watch USA beat Iran and secure their spot going on to the round of 16. Even though the ending 10 minutes of that game was very, very hectic, and it looked like the USA would tie, and I believe they had to win to secure their spot in the round of 16, but they came out with the win. The lone goal was scored by Christian Pulisic. I think that's Christian Pulisic. I think that's how you say his name. He plays for Chelsea. I don't know where I was going with that, but he plays for Chelsea. He's pretty good. Twitter start calling him Captain America, so that's Captain America from now on, at least until we lose, if we lose. But it's exciting. I'm not gonna lie. Me going into this World Cup not really being a fan of soccer, and seeing people's reactions on Twitter, seeing people get invested, seeing the memes that come out of it. Twitter has been very very funny. There was this, I don't know when he did it, but Christian Pulisic, during one of the games, I guess he scored a goal or something. He pulled up his jersey, and underneath the undershirt, he had written on it, "It's called soccer," and I thought that was pretty damn funny. That's been one of the memes that's been used frequently throughout this World Cup by USA fans. Another one has been like, there's George Washington, and he's holding like a big dumbass gun, and it's like a fucking bald eagle coming in behind him, and the text is like, "What the fuck is a kilometer?" That's been funny to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a stupid American and my sense of humor sucks, but that shit's been really funny to me, and so it's been fun participating in the memes and stuff like that. That's why I love sports. Like, you don't really get this kind of camaraderie and this sense of pride with anything else besides like Olympic play and World Cup and shit like that when it comes to sports. Me, I'm never gonna like chant USA, USA. I'm never gonna chant that unless I'm watching like the Team USA men's basketball, unless I'm watching them play, or unless I'm watching the US men's national team for soccer, unless I watch them play, or unless I watch the US women's gymnastics team or something like that during the Olympics. I'm never gonna chant USA, but I don't know, it's just something about like sports being played on the world stage that gets me riled up and makes me want to root for USA. Granted, I mean, I am a citizen of the United States. I was born here, so I guess that helps. But I don't know. It's just an interesting thing, and I really like how sports can do that. That being said, I don't know how good this USA team actually is. I do know that a few of the heavy hitters were eliminated in this World Cup. I believe Mexico was eliminated. I think they're a heavy hitter still. I don't know. Mexico was eliminated. Belgium was eliminated yesterday. They were eliminated while I was in class. I was keeping up with that. See, look at me. I'm keeping up with the World Cup shit when I'm supposed to be focusing in on class. Like, hey, say what you want about soccer or football or whatever you call it. Sports changes people, man. Sports is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Because like 6 months ago, I don't think I would have even known that the World Cup was going on. And now look at me now. I'm super invested. I'm participating in on the memes. I'm looking at countries that aren't the USA play. I'm judging them. I'm getting, rule updates by people that follow the sport, that are trying to get other people that don't follow the sport more invested in the sport, stuff like that. The little things like that is why I love sports. And I will be tuning in to watch USA play the Netherlands. Hopefully we can get a win. If by any stretch of the imagination and by any chance the USA wins this World Cup, I'm going to be absolutely insufferable on Twitter. And other countries are gonna have to hold that, man. Other countries are just gonna have to hold that. Moving on from soccer, because I didn't really have too much to say about that. Let's talk about my two sports teams that are my favorite teams. Let's talk about the Bulls before we talk about the Ravens. Where do I begin with the Bulls? This season, the Bulls have looked like shit. I don't have anything else to say, but like the Bulls have just looked very terrible. For starters, Zach LaVine is playing some of the worst basketball in his career. His averages are down. I think he's averaging like 21 a game on 40% from the field, which is terrible, and 30-something percent from the three, which is very, very bad considering he was a 40% three-point shooter for the past few seasons with the Bulls. I forgot about this. So The Bulls secretly extended Billy Donovan. They gave him a multi-year extension this offseason, and it just didn't. The news just didn't hear about it. The news didn't pick it up. I only heard about it a few days ago, and when I did, I was very disappointed because Billy Donovan is. I'm just gonna say it. Billy Donovan's not a good coach. Billy Donovan is not a good coach. I don't know why that was a decision we made. I don't know why we're so keyed in on this roster. This roster is not built to win a championship. This roster is barely built to win playoff games. No, I don't want to hear anything about Lonzo being out, because Lonzo being out is Lonzo being out. This team is playing poorly with or without Lonzo right now. Zach LaVine's playing like shit. Patrick Williams, I'm not going to give him too much shit because he has stepped up his game when we've needed him to this season, and he has looked pretty damn good at certain points. Kobe White, for the past like 3 games, he's been effective and he's been frankly better than Zach LaVine. But Kobe White, I don't really know why we still employ him. He's not that good. We should have traded him last season, did the trade deadline, and we didn't. So now we're stuck with him this season, and he's probably going to walk for free next offseason if he doesn't get traded by the trade deadline. All of this mediocrity this season stems from us literally doing absolutely fucking nothing last trade deadline. There were moves we could have made for Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant has been playing phenomenal this season. We didn't make him. We could have made a move for potentially Gobert last season. Gobert has, not looked good, but hey, we didn't make that trade either. And so we're just in this limbo where we're, number one, we're still waiting for our starting point guard to come back. There's no timeline on when he'll be back, so that's great. Then we got DeMar DeRozan, who's, continuing to carry the team on his back and have to take 15,000 contested mid-ranges and shoot 50% on them, because why the fuck not, right? And then we got Billy Donovan, who's quite literally just not a good coach. He's very, very bad at his job. And if it were up to me, he would have been fired about 3-4 games ago. But he wasn't. And the Bulls front office decided to extend him for however many more years. So at this point, as a Bulls fan, I am ready to say trade everybody and blow it up. That's not like an exaggeration. I'm so ready to start anew, because the move to bring DeMar DeRozan here in the first place was already a questionable one when you look at the lens of, hey, this team wasn't even in the fucking playoffs. Why would you sign a former All-Star in hopes to getting them to the playoffs? And then what? I did like the Lonzo Ball move. I thought that would have improved us. Lonzo Ball was used to playing on shitty teams. In all transparency, I will say that the Bulls with Lonzo Ball did look a lot different from the Bulls that I'm seeing now. But I'm like, that's a thing of the past right now. I'm not talking about that. So again, the move to bring DeMar DeRozan here was, questionable, but it served its purpose. And DeMar DeRozan last season, he did what he did, All NBA. He likely could be All NBA this season because he hasn't dropped off. He's still taking contested mid ranges, making contested mid ranges, and he's carrying our fourth quarter offense. By the way, our fourth quarter offense is fucking terrible. You want to know what our fourth quarter offense consists of? It consists of point guard brings the ball down the court. They pass to DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan takes maybe 2 dribbles within the 3-point line. He'll pump fake once, twice, 3 times. If you don't bite on the third one, he'll go up for he'll go up for the shot on the fourth one. If you foul him, doesn't matter because he's gonna make it anyway. And rinse and repeat. Like that's not an effective way of running an offense. While I'm talking about the Bulls, I do want to talk about the few bright spots on the Bulls. 1 being DeMar DeRozan, 2 being Alex Caruso. I'm ready for Alex Caruso when his contract is up to not be a Chicago Bull anymore, and it's okay. I will remember his time here as very, very, very fun. He's such a good player, and I'm so glad to have him on my team. But he's too good of a player to waste his time here. So when his contract's up, I expect him to go to whatever contender can offer him the most money. Another great piece, Goran Dragic. For the games that he's played for us, he's been big off the bench. Andre Drummond, he's been huge off the bench. Javonte Green, he's literally been our best bench player. So yeah, those are the few bright spots that I want to talk about with the Bulls. But yeah, man, it's not looking good. It's looking like we're gonna have to just hit that reset button, trade DeMar DeRozan somewhere where he can potentially win a championship, trade Zach LaVine, I don't know, to the fucking Mavericks or something, and just, you know, scrap our hands and say, hey, this is a failed experiment. It's not gonna work, and you know, things are going to look better for the future because this team is barely suited to make the playoffs and much less suited to win an NBA championship. So, yeah. Let me take a sip of this tea, man. Talking about the Bulls gets me so pissed off because it's just like, why? We can never have good things. We ain't been shit since Jordan left, and I wasn't even fucking alive to experience it. Every single year of my life since for like 3 years, the Bulls have been fucking terrible. And it's just like, why? I would love for the Chicago Bulls to be the leader of Chicago sports again, and for us to actually look good, and for us to actually play like contenders and beat contenders. Unfortunately, that's just not happening. That's just not happening with how this roster is constructed. So it'll probably be another 6-7 years before we see a competent team that could maybe reach a conference championship or maybe even get to the finals. I don't know, but since we just talked about the Bulls, let's talk about the Ravens now, my other favorite team. If Lamar Jackson doesn't sign a contract with the Baltimore Ravens and decides, you know what, this team doesn't believe in me and I'm going to go somewhere else and prove them wrong, I would 100%, I'm prepared for it at this point because what the fuck are we doing? Let's start with Greg Roman. Greg Roman, fired immediately. Please fire him. I don't know why he's still employed as a member of the Baltimore Ravens organization. You talk about Greg Roman and you talk about how he's quite literally just never gonna put 3 wide receivers on the field for Lamar Jackson to actually throw the fucking ball. You talk about his obsession with Nick Boyle and Patrick Ricard and drawing fucking screen plays for Patrick Ricard, our fullback, on 2nd and 14 and shit like that. You talk about how our offensive line, despite being very good, in protection and run blocking and pass protection, they still cannot for the life of them figure out how to snap the ball on time. There are countless times within the past 3 seasons where it's been like, hey, the clock's ticking, snap the fucking ball, and we just don't snap the ball. And then we snap it after they've already thrown the penalty flag. And now it's a delay of game because for whatever reason, we can't get our fucking cadence down. And we can't get talking about these two teams makes me so pissed off, bro. Because it's like, it's bad enough that the Ravens at this point have not secured Lamar Jackson's contract, so he's contractually not obligated to be our quarterback of the future, even though quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson don't fucking grow on trees. So I don't know why we didn't scramble to get that move done as fast as possible, right? Quarterbacks don't grow on trees. They don't. Half of the teams in this league have serviceable or worse quarterbacks, and a serviceable quarterback is rarely going to get you to the Super Bowl. Rarely. The last serviceable quarterback to get a team to a Super Bowl was Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'd argue he didn't get them there. The defense did. And I'd also argue that even a good quarterback would have made that throw to, who was it, Emmanuel Sanders, that was wide the fuck open for a touchdown that would have put them up in the Super Bowl. But I digress. Then when you talk about the Ravens, you talk about how, I don't know where that came from, how our receivers can't fucking catch. Mark Andrews, our best, our number one target, is, for whatever reason, he can't catch as of late either. Greg Roman, your play designs, they fucking suck. Our red zone offense has been absolutely terrible this season, which is how the fuck is the Ravens red zone offense terrible? That doesn't even make sense. You have Lamar Jackson as your quarterback and you can't score in the red zone? Are we being serious? Don't get me started on the drops. Last week when they played the Jaguars, I counted at least like 6 drops. I counted 6 drops and I counted 3 drops that would have been touchdowns. You can't blame this on Lamar. You can't use this as a reason to not pay him. If he was on the Jets, that Jets team would damn near be the best team in the AFC East. And that's saying a lot because the Dolphins and the Bills are in the AFC East. At least with the Ravens, I do have a small like hint that things are going to get better when it comes to later on in the season. One main reason is that despite me being very, very vocal about, you know, the shit that's going wrong with the Ravens this season, one thing that we did do with the Roquan Smith trade, our run defense is very, very good now. The main issue is been our passing defense has been wildly inconsistent. Marcus Peters, I'm looking at you. Hopefully with Marcus Williams coming back from injury soon, you know, our defense can tighten up because this is a really good and really talented defensive front. Justin Houston's had a very good season, a very, very good season. Calais Campbell, he's doing his thing. We don't know how long we're going to have him here, but, you know, he's still doing his thing. Our rookie, Cal Hamilton, has been fucking great since like week 3. You know, he struggled a little bit, but our rookie's been great. Marcus Williams, he had like 2 or 3. I think he had 2 or 3 takeaways within the first 3 weeks. We're missing him. When he gets back, this defense can be, and I think it will be, very, very, very scary. It's just that, you know, our offense has just not looked good at all. And one of the biggest reasons is Greg Roman. I think that Greg Roman has to be gone after this season. He just has to be gone. I don't think there's a way we can continue down this path playing 3 tight end, 1 wide receiver sets and using our fullback like he's fucking a wide receiver. We can't continue down this path. So something has to change within the Ravens. Hopefully it's not our quarterback and they get a deal made, and hopefully it is Greg Roman. That's all I want to talk about the Ravens. I don't want to talk about the Ravens anymore. The last thing I do want to talk about for this week is Deshaun Watson is scheduled to make his return to the NFL this week. The Browns play the Texans, and this is, you know, interesting because like the Texans were his former team. The Browns are going to Houston. I'll be watching. I'm not a supporter of Deshaun Watson in any way, but the NFL made their decision, and his suspension has been lifted. So I guess we're going to have to see him on TV on Sunday when he plays the Texans. Hopefully he plays like shit because I don't really like seeing, you know, people with 20-something allegations make millions of dollars. So hopefully he plays like shit. But yeah, that's really all I have for this week's episode. I wasn't talking about shit for real. Yeah, this week's episode was just, let me get some bullshit off my chest because the Sports is so interesting because I was so happy when I was talking about Team USA and soccer and shit, and me being invested in soccer, and then we move on to the Ravens and the Bulls, and then I'm just depressed now. Hey man, that's been this week's episode of the Four Verticals podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe. There'll be an episode every Friday. I record these on Friday. I put them out the same day. And turn on the notification bell so you don't miss. Am I doing this right? I just realized I've never done this before. Let me restart. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Four Verticals podcast. If you're interested in more, make sure you hit the notification bell, hit subscribe, and also hit like, as it helps grow the plug. I almost got through it. Wait. Okay, one more time. I'm keeping all of this in, by the way. One more time. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Four Verticals podcast. If you enjoy it, make sure you subscribe, like the video, as well as turn on the notification bell, and you'll get notifications every time I drop a video. With that being said, thank you for tuning in this week, and I'll see you guys hopefully sometime during the week, next week, with a different video. But I will see you guys next week, next Friday.